Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, today we are going to look at, in my opinion, whatever be the expected questions for this year exams, economics, O-levels and IGcSE. So let's start with the first question. I will just, in this video, I'll be telling you that what are the questions which can be given in this year's paper. Uh, the first one, basically the stimulus material is given, the start of the every question in section B. Um, you have to attempt 23 questions and the stimulus material is given. You can use that as well as an example to write down your answer. So the first question I've picked, the part is define a floating foreign exchange rate that is from international trade. Then if I move down, part B is explain two benefits the government may gain from the growth of the private sector. So this is basically uh, the difference between the private and the public sectors, what are their advantages and disadvantages. Remember that in this video, I'm going to cover only, I will show you the questions basically, and in the coming videos, we are going to talk about the other, uh, you know, how to answer these questions as well. Part C is analyzed by a country with low cost of production may experience a decrease in its exports. It's a very good question. And it is again relating the cost of production with international trade uh, and exports specifically. Discuss whether or not, this is part D, a government should prevent a fall in its country foreign exchange rate. So basically, they are looking for an answer from you that what are the advantages and disadvantages of a depreciation of the currency. The second question which I've picked is basically the first part is about defining the equilibrium. Uh, when is a market in equilibrium? We know that demand supply be equal. Part B, explain how a rise in the price of food would affect a country's consumer price index. Very good question. And it is related to the CPI and construction and what are the uh, uh, basically linked with weightage of food. Part C is analyzed using a demand supply diagram, how bad weather is likely to affect the market for broccoli. So this is basically a decrease in supply curve we are talking about. So this is a demand supply diagram. Remember, 4 marks is for drawing, labeled, properly labeled diagram, and 2 marks is for the explanation. Then discuss whether or not a higher inflation rate will benefit producers. This is a very common question. In my opinion, that is important every year. And inflation will have certain advantages as well, along with the disadvantages. Generally, students know the disadvantages. And number three is basically related to define a loss. Remember, in terms of cost of production and the sales revenue, we have to answer it. Part B, explain giving examples the difference between an internal economy of scale and an external economy of scale. So this is a basic knowledge-based question where internal economy is related to a firm's decreasing costs and external economy of scale is actually the industry is experiencing a decrease in the average cost. Part C is analyze how government could increase the supply of enterprise. This is a question from the initial chapters that supply of enterprise can be, increased by giving them more training opportunities, for example, and subsidies or reduced taxes will also encourage more people to become entrepreneurs. Then discuss whether or not consumers would benefit from a firm changing from being a public limit company to a public corporation. So this is public limit company, which is still in the private sector, selling their shares in the stock exchange. Public corporations are owned by the government. Here, many students make, mistakes, conceptual, basically, conceptual mistakes. So In a public limited company, what are the advantages? What are the advantages of a public corporation? This we have to write two-sided answer, right? Question 4A, identify two functions of money. Uh, Functions they are talking about, so acceptable medium of exchange and store of value. B, explain two reasons why a central bank may want to reduce borrowing. That would be when there are high rates of inflation in the economy, currency is depreciating, so they want to reduce the borrowing and they will increase the rate of interest. Analyze why skilled workers are usually paid more than this. This is my favorite question, that skilled workers have certain, so analyze, so we have to support the statement that skilled workers will always be paid more than the unskilled worker. There is no two-sided answer. There is no two-sided answer in the analyzed question. It has to be supporting the statement. D, discuss whether or not a rise in the rate of interest will reduce economic growth. So this question is basically two-sided, and you have to write down that if the rate of interest is high, what is that linked with the economic growth? And if the rate of interest is low, how can it promote uh, or reduce economic growth? Basically, both of them are linked together. So when the rate of interest is low, inflation can creep and create all sorts of problems like cost push inflation, and that will reduce economic growth. Details I will give in my next videos. Question number 5. I have picked define a multinational company, uh, and straightforward question. D, explain two disadvantages a worker could experience from specializing. Analyze how a change in the PED for its product may benefit a firm. So it is maybe becoming from price elastic to inelastic, so it will increase the revenue for the firm even if they increase the prices. Discuss whether or not the government should subsidize the production of books. They have given this question many times, production of books or subsidizing the transport system. So it can be anything. So this is also benefits, advantages of giving a subsidy, disadvantages of giving a subsidy. Disadvantage means that can be a burden on the government as well. When we come to question number 6, identify two fiscal measures, fiscal policy measures, taxation, government spending. Explain two reasons why the unemployment rate may be higher in one country than other. A good question. Uh, Maybe there is, the supply is limited, recession is hitting the economy, or there is the industry is declining, strategic industries, main industries are declining. That is the reason. And there are maybe problem of skilled labor. Not many skilled laborers are there. Labor is there, so they are not getting the job and the economy is transforming. Analyze how supply side policy measures may reduce unemployment. Good question, easy question to answer. Subsidies and deregulation, privatization, training schools, this you can write, and their benefits. Discuss whether or not a government should protect its country industries from foreign competition. So this question is basically, in other words, if I say that whether free trade is better or protection is better. Advantages of free trade versus advantage of protection. Straightforward answer you can write. Okay, so this I'll continue till question number 6. We are done. These are the 6 most important questions. Then we'll carry on in the next video for the other important expected questions. Thank you.